Hello there, and welcome to another Girl Boss and Bourbon, where I, your host, Brent Schaup, review episodes of Girl Boss whilst drinking some bourbon. Let's get started. So we're looking at episode number 7, Long Ass Pants. We'll get to those pants as we go through the plot here. So we ended off the last episode with the Hearn being removed. She quits her part-time job and she was having trouble selling some dresses. And she was feeling down about it. That was all the ups and downs, was all about she was having a hard time selling some dresses. But we enter into this episode and she is thriving all of a sudden. She is buying U-Hauls. She is filling up trucks with clothes. She is getting the first picks at thrift stores, working out business deals, all of this stuff. And so there's apparently a huge gap in these last 2 episodes, or she was actually doing still well in business before there, but there was just literally 1 or 2 dresses that weren't selling, and she was that unhappy about it that we got that whole roller coaster. Either way, whoever wrote Girl Boss, the show, decided that wasn't very important, but what's important is how Sophia feels during the whole thing. So, episode 6, she's feeling good at the end of it. She's got her little red string. Her dad visited, he's gone. Haven't heard anything about him since. Just, a lot of things kind of floating around. We got Shane, he's still out on tour. Don't hear much of him either. So, but what we do see is all of a sudden her business is doing great. Like I said, it didn't make much sense, but now all of a sudden she's doing great because she feels good. So feel good, work good. I guess that's the moral of the story on this one. So while seeing this even, she's even gotten so big where she's on a headline of like a local online news thing. But she looks down in the comments and sees that some people are not liking what she's doing, that she's a poser, she's inauthentic, that she's ruining these vintage clothes by cutting them up and make them wearable for today's people. So you'd think that Sophia would thrive off of that negative feedback, because I guess she's used to hearing that. She kind of likes that and pushes in because she's not going to be ruled or defined by anyone. Sophia won't. So, but kind of unlike herself, these comments kind of get to her. And we're left with that. One day, the next day, she hears a little knock on her door, and it is the person behind one of those comments that shows up at her door. She has a rival vintage eBay store called Remembrances, but she doesn't alter clothes. She doesn't do any of that stuff. So she has a beef with Sophia because she alters these clothes. She doesn't have the respect for the history and the preservation of that. So this is what she confronts Sophia with. Sophia, though, on the other hand, is like, you know what? You want to know me and what I'm about? Let's go to my favorite bar. So they go to a bar, and I don't remember her name, but the person who owns Remembrances, she's like super quiet, super to herself. She goes to this bar, and you can tell that she kind of likes it, out of her comfort zone. They end up having a great night together, just hanging out, because that would just naturally happen, of course. But then I guess the only important part is that they walk past the thrift store that Sophia frequents, and on the front window is this like old 60s dress or something like that. And this other lady, the Remembrances girl, is like, I gotta have that. So Sophia does a solid, calls down the owner because she has, like we talked about the business deals. She has business deals with this guy, and she gets her the dress, gets her to be able to buy the dress because it's like nighttime. She's leaving the next day. She's like, I gotta have that dress. They get the dress. They're feeling like friendly now. They were enemies, but now friends. So they go back to Sophia. Sophia's like, you can spend the night at my apartment. They share stories. They share their lives together. We find out that they both have moms that are out of the picture. Sophia's mom, we don't really know what happened to her, I guess, from what I can remember. But so she only has her dad, which we haven't heard of, since the last episode. But they fall asleep after having that great time hanging out, and surprise, surprise, the Remembrances girl actually gives that dress that she found out at that thrift store to Sophia. And she spent like $200 on this dress, so it was no measly gift. And she gave it to her with this thought of, hey, like, we're good now, right? Like, you'll conform to me and how I do things in preserving this. So she always repeats the same thing. She's like, put it in acid-free paper, put it in a box, and save it for eternity. And Sophia's like, you know what? I'll do that. She's my friend now, so I'm gonna, respect her wishes. And she gave me this big dress. So she's about to do it, but then she's like, you know what? This dress could have like belonged to some crazy lady. And I have people that want homecoming dresses. So she snaps back to reality, and she's like, nope, I am Sophia, and I will make some money and make some cash and get my business rolling, and I won't conform to anyone else's stuff. So then she decides to cut it up and put it online for like a homecoming dress. Remembrances lady gets back to her house. She lives in Reno, so she's like further away. That's San Francisco. Gets back to her house, sees it online, and episode ends with that dumb B word. That's what she says. So they were friends. She like tried to give it to her as like a gift to keep and maintain. She cuts it up, boom, friendship gone. And we'll see if that progresses further. But how the writers of this show go, a lot of stuff kind of starts, but then we hear nothing about it later. So I feel like that's might be what this is, So we got Shane, the drummer boy who was making ocean noises. We got Sophia's dad. We got the infamous villain, Car Troubles, that we haven't seen in a while, might pop back up again. But maybe now that she has money, she just goes to the mechanic. I mean, who knows? We got her friendship with Annie, who they spent a whole episode just to build the base for that. But Annie's not doing anything either lately. So they're starting a lot of things up, not progressing anything. And in typical fashion, we start in a certain place at the beginning of this episode, and some stuff happens, and then we end up in the exact same place that we were, which is exactly what happened. Now, things change between episode and episode, but during the episode, nothing of significance really happens. So, the biggest takeaway is that Sophia likes being Sophia, and so she continues to be like Sophia, and not change. Not much more to say really on that. So let's cross our fingers and hope for some more plot coming up. I'm doubtful though, because this show's been canceled, so it's not looking that bright. Well, that's all it for now. We'll see you next time on Girl Boss and Bourbon. See you then.